welcome to video 2 of Basics for SEO, the things that no one really talks about that you should know to help your website start ranking. So today we are going to jump into organization of your website, why it's important, how to do it, and an overview of it. So first off, if we go to a website, it needs to be relevant, easy to read, and easy for SEO to understand so that it can put it in front of the right people. So for instance, if I go to Google and I search for types of dogs and I get something on cats that's not relevant to me, but something on that page made Google think that it's about dogs. So whether somebody went in and put dogs all over the page when it's about cats, or they hid the word dog in different places, either way, that wasn't relevant to me. I leave the site immediately, right? And now I'm mad because my search on Google failed me. So now let's say I search types of dogs and I get a website that is about dogs, but it is covered in ads or it is super jumbled and unorganized and has no flow. Well, that isn't easy for me to read and understand, so I'm going to leave and find the next resource. Next is Google needs to know what it's about, and when Google knows what it's about correctly, then it's usually something that I can understand and read. So I'm going to show you kind of what that looks like as an example and kind of go over the how to set this up when you're setting up your website. All right, so when you're on your website and you are organizing and deciding what is going to go on your page, this is usually the easiest time to actually do this structuring. However, you can retroactively go back to a page you've already created and fix this. But if you know this from the get-go, it kind of makes doing things on your website way easier from the start. But either way, the concept and how to do it is the same. So I just pulled up random Google to bring me something. And this is kind of what we're looking at, a picture like this. When you go in and you are choosing the main thing to go at the top of your page, that is usually your H1, your heading 1. And that is the big in your face first thing that people are reading. So for instance, on this page, it's probably design, communicate, and shine. On this one, it's WordStream makes online marketing easy. This one, what is a website header? They are in your face, large and big. Now, depending on what builder you're using, WordPress, Squarespace, Wix, Shopify, whatever you're using, you will have this option, and it's really important to pay attention to. Now, the thing that a lot of designers and people will do, especially on certain platforms, because certain platforms don't give you as much flexibility, is that each one is usually the biggest and most fun and bold thing. And we might take that and want that same font somewhere else on the page, so we'll use that over and over again on one page. The important thing to note is please don't do that. You are not letting Google know. That's an example of not letting Google know what this page is about. So there should only be one H1 or one heading 1 per page. It is the overarching what is this page about. Then from there, we're going to go into, if you look this breakdown, there's an H2, an H3, an H4, an H5, an H6, and then we go to paragraphs. So I'm going to explain this in an old school way, like we write notes in school. So if I am in a class, and I am in a class where the topic of the class that I have gone into is dogs, I know that I'm going to talk about dogs today. Cool. So now what I want to know is we're going to break this up, and it's literally like writing, think of your website in terms like you are writing notes in a class, like you are doing it with the indents and the subcategories and things like that. So types of dogs, we're going to talk about dogs. That's our H1. Then we're going to talk about types of dogs, and we're going to talk about dog food. These would be my H2s. These are the next headings that I would want, that they are giving you a category. So dogs is my H1, types of dogs and dog food is H2. And this is the most complicated part. Once you understand this, everything gets easier. Now I have an indent under types of dogs where I'm going to talk about German Shepherds. So I'm going to make this an H3, and under that same category of where that indent is, that would make a heeler is also an H3, a bulldog is an H3, and a Chihuahua. Those are all the same in that hierarchy of where they are under the notes. Then underneath my German Shepherds, I have stats. So I'm going to make this an H4, which would make this an H4. Then my height and my weight would be H5 and so forth. So I've basically, everything that is an indent, I've got my category of dogs, underneath that, my types of dogs. Well, German Shepherd's a type, a Heeler is a type, a Bulldog, but I'm gonna go more in detail on each of those. Then if I'm talking about the height, and I'm giving the height and weight, and so far, like let's say 120 pounds, something like that, all the information that I'm putting there would essentially be a paragraph. Now it's important to note that you don't need to have a paragraph under an H5. If I'm talking about German Shepherds and then I give an intro about a German Shepherd, German Shepherd dogs are super attentive, smart, etc. If I'm giving like an actual like paragraph and information, this would still be labeled as a paragraph. But then I'm breaking things down where, hey, I'm kind of giving you a heading, an overarching what I'm going to talk about, and then giving more info. So you can see you can have paragraphs pretty much anywhere. So types of dogs, I might then give a paragraph of, we are going to talk about types of dogs. So I'm going to show you this in action, but this is the concept. So once you understand this, you are off to a great start. So now I'm going to pull up a site, and I'm just going to go to one of my websites that I had open and it disappeared. Okay, so we're going to go to one of my websites. And for example, I'm going to give you, this page is about rowing form analysis, which means the target keyword, which I haven't gone into yet, and we're going to talk about in another video, is rowing form analysis. I want Google to know that this page is about rowing form analysis specifically. Then this is my H1, and this is, like I mentioned, my intro. So this is a paragraph. This is all just labeled as a paragraph. And it's important because when you're putting your text in, you have to put it under a heading or a paragraph. You have to tell it what it is. And often that will change the coloring, the size, the font, things like that. So you need to pay attention to that. But then I have basically another indent kind of thing. So this would be my types of dogs. This would be my H2. And if I come into this and I look in the code over on the right, we can see that this is an H2. Then I have a paragraph, and then this would be an H3, a paragraph, and probably an H4. Paragraph, paragraph, and then I'm going back to an H2. So the more that you can organize this, the easier it is for one, people to follow it, two, Google to know what your page is about, and three, it's really important for accessibility, because if you have people who are blind and they have something called a screen reader, read the website to them. So literally they can't read and see this website, so people need to read it to them. So if they're doing that, and I'm going to use the dog thing as the example for this one, if I have a screen reader and it is reading it to me, it's going to say dogs, and it's going to say types of dogs and dog food. So then a person can choose, oh, I want to skip types of dogs, I want to know about dog food. So I'm then going to tell my screen reader dog food. So then the screen reader is going to go wet, dry. And then I get to choose. I would like to learn about wet food. So it's going to go, okay, Taste of the Wild, Hills, Royal Canin, and then I tell it which one I want it to read to me. So if you lose this organization, you have made it so that basically somebody has to go through your whole page, and if what they want is down here, you just wasted their time and they probably left your page. So our brains work also similarly, just in attention span. If I come to your site and I really want to know about dog food, but it wasn't easy to follow and I had to go through all this stuff, I'm probably leaving your page. So the screen reader for this would say dogs, types of, without these headings, would say dogs, types of dogs. We're going to talk about types of dogs. German Shepherd dogs are super attentive. Stats, height, weight. They're literally going to go through all this information, and usually we're able to filter that out because we can see it's not quite what we want, but somebody who's blind can't see that. So make it as user-friendly as you possibly can. And yeah, so I hope that that helps. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out, and I can always clarify and do my best. In the next video, we're going to talk about some other SEO basics like alt text and naming your images. Again, why it's important and why you should do it, and how it fits into accessibility.